Welcome to London's craziest gangster with me, Mr. Fish. I used to be the keeper of the dead man's Bible, where all the rules of society are thrown, tossed and washed away. Easy on the mic and mind how you go. Easy on the mic and enjoy the show. Crash! And today in the studio I have with me, for part 2, the son of George Elliott, a former gangster who mixed with all the gangsters, the Craze, the Richards, Lenny McLean. And here we are with part 2. Please welcome to the Fishbowl, Lee Elliott. Yes, Big G. How are you?
Mate, all right?
Cool.
Nice to see you again, yeah. Nice to see you again.
I didn't really want him back, but he's here. So here we go, enjoy the show. Let me look at the camera. Now, so you just said your dad moved back to South London.
Yeah.
And that's where you said you really met the real gangsters, because as we know, the proper gangsters are, we're going to but most of them were from South London. So Crash, here you go, enjoy the show.
Yeah, so as I was saying, my dad moved back over to South London, and I went over there to obviously visit him all the time and get in contact with his previous wife and my half-sisters and stuff. And
what was that like for you?
yeah, it was difficult because I'd never met them. My sister, I've got 2 sisters over there. One of them is although she's from the southeast, she's very well to do, got a very high profile job in the oil industry.
Not like you then.
No, not like me. And my other sister is a lot like my dad. She was into drugs and stuff like that, and she liked to use my dad's name in the underworld, and got my dad into a lot of predicaments, if you like, going to sort out problems and stuff like that. But
what kind of predicaments did she get him into?
Well, with drug dealers and stuff like that, you know, and yeah, she was just happy to have her dad back, I suppose. But yeah, she done what I did, I suppose. When my dad come home, she thought she had the backup. Then she thought she had the glamorisation of it all, and because of the people he knew, you know, my dad sort of like he didn't want to have to sort out her problems, but it's his daughter at the end of the day, you know. So that's what he had to do. But like I was saying before, he moved over to South London, and then we got to meet the real gangsters, if you like. Eddie Richardson, Frankie Fraser, Freddie Foreman, all of them.
And what were they like?
You know, to most people they'd be scary characters, I suppose. But for me, they were just my dad's mates. You know, it's the same as when I was young and visiting him in prison and sitting on the Crazy lap. And, one of the guys that shot the police officer in Southall, I sat on his lap, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so it was good to meet them. A lot of respect there.
Yeah.
And you know, like even going into their pubs over there were different. You know, they were singing pubs. They had all the chaps in them. They had respect about them. You know, there was food put on and stuff like that.
Well, what you're saying, not saying different, because we had pubs over here as well, in West London and North London and East, which were also like that. So, I mean, because really you're talking about a time when villainy was everywhere, all over London. So, I mean...
I mean different in the sense of everyone was suited and booted in the pub, okay? Everyone, the old gangsters would get up. I mean, Tom Jones and... what's his name? Jules Holland come in one of the pubs one day, and they were up singing on the stage, and my dad got up and sung with Tom Jones and stuff like that. So, you know, it's like being around stars, if you like. But to me, they wasn't stars or gangsters. They were just my dad's mates. So it was good to know that he had them sort of people around him. Don't get me wrong, but when you're growing up, it's just it's like a movie to me. It was like a movie, you know. Yeah. It was like. Everyone else sees these people on telly.
Let me ask you something. Was that your doorway into crime? You understand, Crash? Yeah,
it was my doorway into serious crime.
Okay.
It was my doorway into meeting contacts, if you like, and as criminals do, they upgrade with the crimes. You start off with car crime and driving and stuff like that, and then it moves into drugs and armed robberies and all sorts, you know. Yeah, so then, like I said, my dad wanted to come out of the game.
Yeah.
But he was surrounded by all these people that were expecting him to still be in the game.
Okay.
Once you're known as a gangster, you're always a gangster in their eyes.
No, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
You would know. But yeah, so then it went from, obviously my dad was doing bank robberies and stuff in the back in the day, but now...
So wait a minute, stop. You said in part one your dad was doing armed robberies, and you did mention it.
Yeah.
So are you saying that now he's moved back to South London, Crash?
Yeah.
Are you saying that he now started to participate in armed robberies again?
No, he started to get into the drug game.
Okay.
That's what and the rave scene as well.
Educate me.
So I think the first thing he did when he got back to South London, obviously he made contacts, but he still had contacts in West London as well. And he started doing raves at Windsor, Mirage in Windsor.
Okay. Was that your dad's rave, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my dad's rave, yeah.
Okay.
And he had that going for, I think it was about 6 to 8 weeks, I
So I'll
think.
say that was about in 92, 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we had laser
Yeah.
drum. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go, you heard it first.
So yeah, so I was still about 16, I suppose, and I was already been raving, but when you go to your dad's rave and everyone knows your dad and you're in the back room with the DJs and stuff like that and you've got older women coming to try and chat you up.
Was you raving in the hot pants or anything like that?
No, I wasn't.
I don't know. I heard a story about ministry. That's all. I don't know.
No hot pants were involved, trust me.
I just heard a story about ministry. I'm sure you're going to die. That's all I want to know. Okay, come on.
So anyway, so there was that, and he earned quite a bit of money out of doing the raves, you know, because the drugs were involved in the raves. You know, when you own the club and you've got the doorman, all the drugs go through the doorman and the owners of the clubs, so they tell who can deal in there and who can't.
I have to be honest. I know he's right there because when we owned Laser Drum, which I will be talking about in a later show, we had had the times where other security companies were coming in and trying to put it on me and put it on mine to see if they could get past us so they could sell drugs in the clubs.
Yeah.
But we managed to always hold our own, and so we managed to back them off, you know. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Crack on, I apologise to you.
No, that's no problem. And I think they had much the same sort of scenario going on. Other gangs trying to get into the club, sell their drugs, and you know that people had to be warned off. Just how the game goes, I suppose, when you're in the club industry and when you're in the bouncing industry. So it moved from that, and when that finished, because he got the taste for earning the money from ecstasy and stuff like that in the clubs, he got offered more work with coke.
Really?
Yeah, picking up coke. He got arrested at Dover at the docks for 150 key.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 key. He was in Belmarsh.
Okay.
And
may I ask you, I don't, where did the 150 key come from? I mean, who?
I don't know. I don't know where the 150 key come from. It's just obviously in the criminal underworld, and that's the job he got given.
Yeah, but it came from abroad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and what he had to do, he had to pick up a car with 3 boxes in the boot full of coke, 150 key, 50 key in each box.
Okay.
Now, the only thing that got him off, there was 4 of them that got arrested.
He got off?
Yeah, he got off.
Oh, a gangster.
On a technicality.
How's your father? I got off. Here you go, enjoy the show.
So I can't say too much. But it was over a technicality. It was over a number that was written in the back of his diary. Okay, and what it was, the prosecution held back that evidence, and when it come to court, the judge had reprimanded them for holding back evidence. Okay,
Right.
and when the evidence come to light, he had a number in the back of his diary. Okay, and what he said he worked on a market stall selling T-shirts, and the number that was in the back of the diary was the same amount of the price wise for as many T-shirts that would fit in them 3 boxes.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the exact amount.
Oh, what a
He was
result,
able to prove how much he paid for the T-shirts, how many T-shirts would have been in the box, and the end sum was in the back of that diary, and that's the technicality that got him off.
How's your father? Crash. Hey,
Yeah.
what's the chances of that? Crash. Go on, son.
So I'll never forget going up to Belmarsh, visiting my dad in Belmarsh, and you got to remember he's done 2 long sentences, and I was really worried that my dad was going to die in prison. you know.
Well, let me, because I do remember going back to part one. You did say, Crash, that you stopped going to visit your dad in prison, so you had enough. So
Yeah.
now what you're saying is you've had to, like,
I
forget that and
yeah.
go back and visit him again.
Well,
yeah?
now I was older, you know. Now,
Okay.
now I knew the game. I've been to prison myself.
Okay.
I realised that.
What have you been to prison for? You haven't told us. You didn't tell us in part.
I've been to prison twice. Well, I've been to prison more times than that, but
Okay.
I've had 2 long sentences for GBH with intent.
Okay.
I was arrested for attempted murder, and it was dropped down to section 18.
Okay.
With intent.
And how long did you get?
The first time I got 4, and done 2 out of that, and the second time I got 10. Okay. But I got a year, 4 years extended license, so I'm EPP.
And how did you find prison?
You know, I think all them stories and sitting on their laps and finding out about prison as a kid helped me survive, you know, helped me know how to deal with prison before I'd even gone there.
I love that about you. And the reason I would say, because the thing about villainy was, and this is what I try to explain to the public and other kids, the kids, we sat round the villains' tables and they told us the stories. And so we had an education. And we used that education when we got into the game. And that's what I'm saying. That's what's missing now. So I'm happy you brought that point up. Yeah. A lot of people, we didn't just go in there and, like, you know, smash a Range Rover for a jewellery shop and all that. And we had trades. And we had the trades. And the trades came off the villains that we were around. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So that's why the game was a lot different. Sorry, mate, I apologise. Crashing.
No, that's no problem. And so, yeah, I've done long sentences. And in fact, when my dad got arrested for the 150 key,
yeah,
I'd actually got nicked on exactly the same day.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you get nicked for?
I got, I don't know. I don't know what I got nicked for.
That's when it's Barry, you can't remember. That's when it's Barry, you can't remember, mate, trust me.
Yeah.
That's when you've done too much.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on, crack on.
So, yeah, I'll never forget. And my mum coming down to bail me out or to come down and give me a bit of support and telling me that my dad had been nicked as well. So we're both in the police station at the same time. And that's the problem, because my life has been mirrored sort of towards my dad's life, I suppose.
Crash.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was that. And, you know, like...
So, yeah, he goes to Belmarsh. And
he goes to Belmarsh. I got off with my charge, so I was able to visit him.
Yeah.
I'm going up there with my auntie again. But this time, I was taking Puffer, you know, for the old man. Red Seal in balls.
So how's that feel? You know, like he's not dangerous for fighting to get in court, like...
No, I wasn't fighting to get in court for some reason. I don't know why.
5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't fighting to get in court. But I think because I'd seen that as a kid, you know, I'd see my auntie bring my dad Puff up and putting it in a cheddar cheese packet and him eating the cheddars and swallowing the puff and stuff like that.
There you go. Next time, take him a pack of cheddars. There you go.
Best cheddars
Only
I've
5 years, only 5 years, don't worry about it. Crash.
Yeah, so there was that side of it, you know, and I think what that did to my dad, it was a stark reminder of being an older gangster and being in prison, and the worry of dying whilst you're in prison and not wanting to go through that again. And not only that, being in prison where everyone else is really younger than you, you know, there's a few older people in there and stuff like that, but when you're a career criminal, the youngsters don't really know who you are, so they don't give the same respect, I suppose.
No, I don't know. I've been in that position. I think sometimes it's good to have the older criminal around you because they can, like, help the younger criminals with any problems that may arise. You know, deaths in the family. When you get a Dear John letter, you know, Crash, how's your father? So sometimes having the older criminal can keep the balance on the wing as well and keep the wing calm and placid.
Yeah.
Crack on.
So, like I said, he beat the case. He got out, and I think that was the turning point of him to retire.
Really?
Yeah, retire. Retire in the sense of no big jobs, if you like.
I love that retire word, and I find, especially with a lot of villains, gangsters, whatever you want to call them, I find with a lot of them, they find that the most difficult thing to do, which is to retire. And it always makes me laugh, because I always say to people, well, judges retire, police retire, you know what I mean, bricklayers retire, everyone retires. There's no shame in retiring from the game, but I always find a lot of people kind of maybe get embarrassed or, you know, look at it as if they've fallen when they haven't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Christ, God.
Yeah, and they never really retire, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
They never really retire, you know. The
Don't
contacts are
say
still
it.
there. The contacts are still there, the people are still known, and the phone call can always still be made, you know.
I'm retired. I'm retired.
But, so, yeah, that for me, I think, not that he was handing over the title or anything like that, or I wanted to carry on his legacy, if you like, because I didn't. But then his advice become different. Well, he wasn't teaching me about criminality anymore. He was teaching me the reason why it's not worth doing it anymore. You know, there's too many cameras. There's too many. You know, people are grassing now. They're catching you on your phones, cell sighting you, and stuff.
So
like
what
that.
you're saying, the whole rules of the game have changed now.
Yes.
It weren't like before.
It wasn't like before. The old school rules were diminishing, but especially when drugs come into the game. I think that's what changed the whole criminality.
Yeah.
And you know, where drugs comes along, there's a lot of scummy people. There's a lot of dodgy people. There's a lot of grasses as well.
I think what drugs done, a lot of lone people, lone soldiers, lone gangsters got into the game.
Yeah.
And because they didn't have the principles, the morals, and the rules of the old school, so they had to create their own rules and their own morals, and that's why we have the shootings and the stabbings, and they've gone sky high through the roof. So I understand what you're saying. Crash out your father. It's the way it was then, but it's totally changed now. The principles out the window now.
Yeah, and it's totally changed, and you know, he's using his experiences and his stories and life experiences to do good now. You know, to educate, if you like, to educate the youngsters, to educate even people that have been in the game that are thinking about still staying in the game. You know, they you have to know that it's not the same game anymore.
And did he educate you?
Yeah, of course he educated me. You know,
in what way? Tell me.
Well, because it was just after that I got nicked for my second GBH, and that was the long sentence. Okay.
And may I ask you what that GBH was for? Like, what was it about? Or?
Basically, mother of my child had a child with a previous partner. And he didn't like the fact that I was with her, obviously. And he was doing stupid things like serving up in front of his kid and stuff like that. And he was saying something about me in the pub one day. And I was talking to his sister and just saying, look, tell him not to serve up in front of the little one, like, you know, get in trouble with social services and stuff like that. And that's not how we roll anyway. But he didn't like that and come to me with a knife. Went home and got a knife and come back. I punched him, picked the knife up and cut his lips off.
Yeah. Could have just kissed him on the cheek.
No, well, he was talking shit about me, he won't do that again, will he?
Well, at least he won't get lippy again.
Yeah, that's it. They call it zippy as it goes.
Remember where you heard it for? Crash!
Yeah,
so it's the gone crash up
that was my long sentence, and what I did on that long sentence, with advice from my dad, he said, go to work, boy. He said, find yourself a career.
What do you mean by work? Okay,
go straight.
Okay.
He wanted me to go straight. He wanted me to come out of the game because the game wasn't the same anymore.
Was he frightened of you getting hurt? Is that what he was saying?
Yeah, he was frightened of me doing a life sentence. He was frightened of me getting shot, stabbed, whatever you like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I took his advice because I done 16 courses. I changed my life about.
What courses did you do?
I've done IT courses. I've done my English, maths, and science, and all that sort of stuff.
Were these courses in prison or?
Yeah, all in prison.
Okay.
All in prison.
And did you do a course in prison that helped you get a career when you came out of prison?
Yeah, I've done electrician's course. I've done a gas engineer's course, a plumber's course. I've done about 16 courses. So I educated myself.
Okay. And which course helped you find a career when you came out of prison?
I've done the gas and the electrics, and now I've got my own gas company. I run my own business. And you know, like, that's the one thing I got taught when I was a kid. If you're going to be in the game and you're going to earn your money, you've got to come out of it. You've got to be smart enough to know when to come out of it and use your money legally. You know, and that's what I got taught all the way through. All right, if you've got to do the crime, get your money and get out of it and put it into something legit.
I wish someone taught me. I wish someone taught me.
So, and as you know, that's my life though. You know, I like to educate the youngsters. I educate my own son, and my own son, he's only 11, but he's been around all the gangsters himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been brought up old school himself, but he's been old school within the morals, not with the criminality. But also he's been taught.
So let me ask you something, Crash, how's your phone? Let me ask you something now, yeah? Does it not worry you that your kid being around all these gangsters and hearing all this old school? Doesn't it worry you that he may then go down the same path as you, or the old man?
No, because he's not being taught about criminality. Okay, although he hears about criminality, he hears that it's wrong. He hears that it's no good. There's nothing to be gained out of it anymore. You know, so he hears the right way. He hears.
So when you say the right way, you saying that from the old school, he learns respect,
yes,
morals,
yes,
principles. Is
yes,
that what you're trying to
yes,
say?
How to talk to people, how to be polite. Like the old school rules I said before, never rob off your own, never graft, never hit women, stuff like that, you know. Okay. So he gets taught the right way, but he also gets taught.
But I'm a little bit.
That it's a mug's game. Basically.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused, especially when it comes, to a kid, never grasp. And the reason I say this, kids, because we have knife crime now. Knife crime is on the up. I think people have to understand that word grass. It's very important to understand what the word grass is and where it comes from. Now you have to remember, grassing is used by the criminal fraternity, okay, or the villains, the gang, whatever you want to call it, to protect themselves so that others won't grass or tell the police about them. But I need people to understand out there that not everybody's in the game, as I call it. And so therefore, when you go to the police, it's not grassing, okay? It's not. If you're in trouble, you have to go to someone who can help you. And if it's the police, then so be it. It's not a grass. If a kid's in trouble and you're just a kid and you're being chased and you're being stabbed and you've got to grass up something, he wants to take your life, that's not grassing. Please believe me, it's not. Grassing is a thing where criminals use it in the game to protect themselves. So if you are a criminal as well, you get a bad name and then you have to jog on and you're ostracized from everybody. That makes sense to you?
Yeah.
So kids today, don't think you're being chased by a gang or chased by somebody or someone's trying to stab you or take your life. Don't think going to the police is grassing, because it ain't, okay? You have to save your life. And if that's the way you got to save it, crash out your father, make sure you do it that way.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, but he's just getting taught the right way, and he's getting taught. He wants to learn stocks and shares, and I'm already teaching him about the stock exchange and stuff like that.
Not to be armed robbery. That's stocks and shares.
Give me all your money. But yeah, but yeah. So we're trying to teach the younger generation, and so is my dad. You've got to understand that they want them not to follow in their footsteps, and I suppose my dad didn't really want me to follow in his footsteps, but he didn't have a choice because I was already on that path. So yeah, retirement, never really retired. But
okay, let me ask you a question. You say retirement, so where is your dad at now? So here we are, he's done all the burn, he's done. How old is your dad now, may I ask?
He's 77 now.
77, so
yeah.
Boy, he's in this crash out your father, yeah. That's good. But what I want to know, maybe the viewers want to, so where's he now? Where in his time of life now? Where is he now? What does he do?
Now he's retired. He doesn't work anymore. He's too old to work.
Is he married still? Is he
no, his wife passed.
Okay.
Bless her heart. And now he's just living his life. He's got his friends around him still. They still have mad parties and stuff.
There we go.
They still have mad parties. Still, yeah. So, they never really grow up, gangsters. I call him Peter Pan.
I can verify. Please trust me. Please trust me. Grow up, forget it.
Yeah, so
die first.
He's still a very prominent figure in his area. I think someone said to him the other week when we was before lockdown, when we was in the pub, he said, "Do you know you're a legend around here?" He said, "Everyone talks about you. Everyone knows you. Everyone comes to you to sort out the big problems." So now he's like a concierge.
I'll ask you a question. I've got to ask this question. People come up to me and Crash, how's your father? I say, oh, Fish, yeah, you're a legend, you're a legend, you're a legend. And I, personally, I get embarrassed by it. I mean, it's a compliment. Maybe I'm not good at taking compliments, but I get embarrassed. And the reason I get embarrassed by this, I don't really do the things that I have to do because we call a legend, you know what I mean, to get a name. We do what we have to do because we have to do it, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe it's survival or whatever, or someone put it on us, but we don't really do it for the name, you know what I mean, and for the fame, So I get embarrassed. How did your dad take it?
He said to me, it was nice to hear that people perceive him in that way, you know, but he's more just about, people come to him for advice now. That's what his job is as a retired gangster.
And what advice do they come to him for? I mean, how to hold a shotgun, how to rob a bank,
how to beat a case, how to like if someone's got trouble with another person, he mediates between the two.
Okay, so let's imagine you're a young man, I'm you, and I say, hey Dad, just been done wrong. How can I beat the case? What advice does he give them? Or?
No comment.
Crash, remember we heard it first. How's your father? No comment.
Yeah, that's the best advice you're ever going to get, let me tell you.
I always say it's funny when it comes to no comment because people always say to me, you know, they say now, if you say no comment, the judge will use it against you. So I always say to people, for me, if I get it, I always say, look, I'd rather say no comment. And when they say, all right, you say, can you give the reason why? I always say, well, because of programs such as Rough Justice and Inside Out, I would rather say what I have to say in front of a jury, an unbiased jury.